And welcome to the J-Train Podcast. This is J-Train, Jared Freid, coming to you live from the Southern Quarantine Cabin in Boca Raton, Florida. We're here every Monday and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's how it all works, people. Oh, it feels good when you tag a friend. Tag a friend, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa, anyone with ears in your Instagram stories. Post the J-Train Podcast. Take a screenshot of whatever you're listening on now. Make it your Instagram stories. Tag me. It feels like you're taking a feather and you're grazing my nuts with it. You're just going up and down, to and fro, across the seam, a little too close to the butthole. That's okay. Listen, this is what we like. We love when you share. Also, I'm on YouTube. Hello, YouTube land. You're watching right now. I love YouTube because we're putting more stuff up there, and I want you to go check it out. I want you to become a YouTuber. So get on there, YouTube, as well as Patreon. I'm doing 3 extra podcasts a week for $5 a month. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can get 3 extra podcasts a week. They're all different. They're all special in their own snowflake way. There's Luxury Lounge, where I complain about luxury issues. Luxury Lounge, let me just pimp it out for a second. It has become quite a community because people are sending in their luxury issues and then I complain with them. It's like we're doing a duet. So patreon.com/Jared Freid, patreon.com/Jared Freid. Very excited about today's guest. New to the podcast, hilarious comedian. He is awesome. He's got a Instagram show called Eat With Me that I want you all to check out. Jason Lawhead, everybody.
Jared, what's up, buddy? Good to
see you, man.
Great to see you, man.
Where you're coming to us from sunny Southern California, am I right?
Yeah, San Diego, the whale's vagina.
There it is. I can see it on your face. You just look happier. Like,
you know what's funny is a lot of people say that when they see me once in a while. They're like, you can just see San Diego and like a hot young wife on your face, bro. You can just see that you got, and I'm like, thanks, man. Yeah. So
you got
we
the
love
world.
it here.
I gotta say though, I was in La Jolla. I did shows there, and like, you just can't believe people live that way. Like, I'm in Boca right now, and like Florida's Florida at all times. It's beautiful here. There's palm trees, of course. It's not the same. This is, I'm going down the street. I see a Publix. I see a Walmart, a CVS. I see
the
like
Sandbar. They always have, they always have like these dive bars that you're just like, what is that? Yeah.
Dive bars with like blacked out windows that they make sure it feels like they like want to make you feel like you're in a hole of a bar. There's just packs of Jews crouched around, running around, flocks of them. But San Diego, totally different story. Like, it is just, I felt like every time I turned, I was just like, my breath was taken. I'd be like, oh, look at, like, I just looking at things and like, and the restaurants are open and breathe. How long have you been living there? And because I know you're a Cleveland guy.
Yeah, so I lived here. I've been living here since I got engaged, which was I moved here basically March 2018. So I was living in LA for a time, going through the rat race, just trying to, climb the ladder and do my stand up and do whatever I could get done. And most of the time you're working the road, having to pay those bills, like, working out of the city. So yeah, I was just lucky, man. I came down here back in like 2014 for a weekend, and a beautiful young girl was in the audience. She didn't even come up to me after the show. She just went and did a background check on me, and man. Like, so she reached out maybe a week after I was in San Diego, back in LA, and eventually I got back down here. I saw how beautiful she was, so I was like, let me get a date real quick, and it was at the La Jolla Comedy Store actually, where we eventually actually met, and it all kind of came full circle because she came. It was a different club that she saw me at downtown in the Gas Lamp, and then I came back to do the Comedy Store, and we finally got to meet in person that night, and it just kind of went from there. And then it all came full circle. Right before we got married, I shot produced my own like little, indie first comedy stand-up special at the Comedy Store. And then she was there that night, and we got married the next month that was September 2019. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of the jinx to it all, though, because I was like telling the crowds in Las Vegas this weekend, the first week I worked, I'm like, I just want to apologize, because I feel like ever since everything started going really well for me, everybody else had to suffer. It's like, why does my life have to be good? You know what I mean?
Well, I want to take a step back, because how old are you, Jason? Because
I'm 48.
You're 48. You never married before this?
No, never married before this, and just was, I started stand-up late. I didn't start stand-up until I was almost 32. I was just, so yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, I've always been like this. I'm the youngest of 7 kids. I was a mistake. I was always kind of like the late bloomer, the streaky shooter, my dad used to call me. So yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where, but I was always trying to find my way in I think a lot of positive lights through life, and I took swings at different stuff, and here I am.
I think it's so interesting because like this podcast, we're going to get a lot of dating questions. We're going to get to the questions, but like there's someone out there, and we have a lot of female listeners. We have a lot of female listeners that are like, there's this guy that was show, like your story is the one that gets written into this show a lot, where it's like a guy, he was in town. Should I send the DM? Should I send the message?
Yeah.
What should I count on? Should he come? He says he wants to come here on a date. How much should I trust that? Like your story is like of kind of like the unicorn of the stories, where you're like, how did your wife approach you, and what made you? Because I think a lot of women who listen would want to hear.
I think they're going to like it.
You? Well, because what's the difference between you showing up to San Diego, like, I'll go on a date, let's see, she's hot, and like end up marrying her, and the guy who's like, yeah, I'll come down to you, and then disappears for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is an interesting story. It's kind of funny, and I think your listeners will like it, because I'm older than her. I'm 15 years older than my wife, who has a big future. It's not like she's marrying me for the money. I mean, nobody's ever heard of me. Everybody is tuning in saying, Jason, who? So the thing is what was cool and what was kind of funny is I had met her at the end of the summer of 2014, and I had just spent basically the spring and summer in New York City. That's where we briefly met after I saw you in Cleveland. I was hanging out there subleasing, and I was doing some shows and working off the East Coast. I was really thinking about moving to New York. I had just been tired of LA for a while. And I went back to LA after the summer in New York, because I was going to do Last Comic Standing. And I was like, well, if it goes good, I'll stick around LA. If it goes bad, I'm moving to New York. And I go down, and I just worked this 2 nights at the Madhouse Comedy Club. Chris Millhouse, you know Millhouse, right?
I know Chris. It's great.
Yeah, so it was one of his shows. He was promoting one of his like Chris Millhouse and Friends shows, and me and actually Sean Donnelly was in town, and we
love Sean. Both of them have been on this show. Yeah,
I love Sean. Right? I mean, I love Millhouse. Those guys are great guys. So we were just doing like a 2-nighter. I think we were just doing like a 2-nighter co-headline night. Like he closed one night, I closed the other night, and she happened to be in the crowd in one of those shows. And like I said, didn't come up, left, blah, blah, blah. Cut to a few weeks later, I was just trying to book 5-minute spots anywhere I could to work on this I had to do one more audition in front of Wanda Sykes. And so when I got the message, I called Comedy Store. I said, hey, da-da-da. They said, Fahim is headlining. I called him up. I said, you mind if I do 5? He says, come on, man, it'll be fun. I hit up her. And the crazy thing is when I got down there, Jared, I was as single as they got. I mean, I was if you ask any of my old friends and ask anybody that was around me, like, hey, man, I was having a good time, and I had an easy time, not to brag or anything, but I was always pretty like, hey, I didn't. And the night I met her, and the night she carried herself, and, it just was right. She's from Chicago originally. I'm from Cleveland. And even though she's younger. She's got an old soul. She's an entrepreneur already at 27 at the time when I met her. And she's, all these things. And I walked her to her car after we hung out for a couple of hours. And, I gave her a little kiss on the cheek, gentlemanly, walked her to her car. And that was on a Friday night. I was doing Saturday shows, and we were going to maybe hang out on Sunday in La Jolla and just hang out because she had the day off. And as she drove away, I had a few hookups on Tinder. I had a friends with benefits in LA. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know if I would ever marry this girl, but I knew she was really special, and something was inside of me that I really liked. And as I saw her taillights drive away, I had a few matches, and without anything, I trashed my Tinder app.
Deletes it all.
Deleted the Tinder app. And then I went to a phone number of a girl in LA that was just kind of a friends with benefits, and I just blocked it. I was like, I'm not even explaining it to her.
What, you didn't even say to her, like, hey, this has been fun, but I didn't know.
No, because she was never the kind of girl I would have ever introduced to my parents.
Well, would she introduce you to her parents?
Maybe.
Okay, so maybe
that might have been the worst thing I ever did, but she was probably, I wasn't the only one, and she wasn't the only one. You understand what I'm saying?
That was the understanding.
And that was what motivated me to go, you know what, without even any headaches or distractions, I want to see this girl on Sunday, and I want to see her after that. And I feel like she wants to see me, meaning my wife at the time. Yeah. And there was just something that it was. But
you knew, you were like, I
pulled me. Yeah.
This is the way I gotta go. It's not worth all the other distractions.
Yeah. And then on Sunday reaffirmed it. So then Sunday she tells me, like, come by. I said on Sunday. Actually, that wasn't this. So Sunday we met up somewhere public. That's right. So Sunday we met up somewhere public, and we spent the whole day together. And I was still going to do a set on Sunday night. We spent the whole day together on Sunday, and we had a great day. We actually went and saw Dumb and Dumber 2 because it was out at the time, and we both loved Dumb and Dumber 1. We were talking about it.
We were like, the lengths you're willing to go for this woman. You're like, I'll go see.
Well, we didn't know it was going to be, as the whatever. It wasn't terrible, but. That was a fun day. And then she invited me over the next day. So then the next day she invited me over. And then I went over to the apartment, like the actual residence. And I knocked on the little screen door. She had this great little cottage in Mission Beach, 1 block off the beach in between the bay. And I knock on the cottage door. She's like, come on in. She's on the floor. I look down, and it was in the early fall at that time, So she was making a gift for her friend, a Christmas gift, and it was a puzzle. It was a huge floor puzzle of the famous Lucille Ball scene of Lucille Ball walking down the stairs in the pink dress like Marilyn Monroe had done. Like Lucille Ball had replicated that. And I was like, wow, like, is that Lucille Ball? And she's like, yeah, I love Lucille Ball. And she's like, and I'm like, thinking this is just a 27-year-old hot chick at the time, with a good head on her shoulders, right?
It became more depthy for you. It became, there's a connection there.
Well, now I'm going, well, this girl's got some taste. I love, and then she goes, oh, then she points to this, she has antique furniture, and she's got some really cool stuff, and she points to this antique, like, china cabinet type thing. She goes, oh yeah, I look in there, I have all kinds of stuff. She's got vintage Lucille Ball lunch boxes, vintage porcelain dolls. And I just looked, I went like this. I was like, I hit the jackpot. Like,
well, it's interesting what you're saying, because it's like someone else could walk into that apartment or that cottage and go, who the fuck is Lucille Ball? Like, they don't give a shit.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's where we talk a lot about on this show about the match and how sometimes it's just two good people that aren't two puzzle pieces, to bring it back to the puzzle. There aren't the two puzzle pieces that fit. This feels like you're fit, and I love it. I can see it all over your face. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Jason Lawhead is glowing. Let's talk about, before we get to the emails, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Eat With Me, at Eat With Me TV on Instagram.
Yeah.
Explain it to the listeners, because I think it's interesting. I've watched these videos. They're great.
Oh, hey, thanks. So basically, I've always been a cook. I'm from Ohio, like you said, and I've always been a meat and potato. Every recipe in my life starts with 2 sticks of butter. That's the way it goes. So obviously, as I've gotten older, I've wanted to kind of just get in tune with my health. And another thing I do besides stand up, and I think we talked about this, and this, is that during the winter months when we're not in a pandemic and a lockdown, I'm also a certified high school basketball official in California.
Yes. I'm aware of this, and you talk a lot about it on stage. I love it.
I do. This is a lot of my newer stuff coming out of the special. So, so I grew up on the game. My dad's a coach back in Ohio for many years, but the point is that as I was getting older and I really started working this again as a side craft, because you can make pretty good money if you really work a lot of the varsity and youth games and stuff, at least in a short amount of time in the season, you can cash in. So, as I was getting older, I saw this Game Changers documentary talking about plant-based foods and stuff, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot just to see how it does on this basketball season. So that was last year, so November of 2019, right after our honeymoon. We ate a bunch of boar and prosciutto in Italy, and then came home, and I said, all right, I'm going to try to give this plant-based diet a chance. My wife was going to as well. So
you're doing this together. Months. Because this could be considered the most Southern California story that's ever told. It would be like, I left Cleveland. I met this young girl in San Diego. Totally. I'm totally plant-based. Like, someone could hear this and be like, you hear about Lawhead? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's lost his mind.
There's about 10 guys I know that are saying that right now that already have been saying that. That's hilarious because it's so true. But hey, look, Jared, this,
sure.
Depending on where you are in our business, I am my own doctor at this point. I'm my own healthcare dude. I can't go, and I don't, you could ask my wife, even when I wasn't eating healthy and I might've had too many pounds on me and I would eat a steak and back it up with a cheeseburger, whatever, I wouldn't even take ibuprofen. I'm so against anything in prescription or anti-prescription in my body. I'll put a little of God's green earth in me every now and again to help. You know what I mean? But that's it. And so that was one of the reasons. And then but at first I wasn't a plant-based cook. We just started this thing and said, let's go plant-based. And my wife now, she has a culinary degree, even though she's an entrepreneur in other areas. So, she can cook some stuff, but I had to relearn. I was a good cook. I could cook, steaks and smoke a turkey, but
But what I love about what you do, because I've watched these and they're really good and everyone should go check it out at Eat With Me TV, is that it's like dude food. Like you're not just doing like, it's not a bunch of like, it looks like it would fill me up. It looks like something I would want to have. Like I watched the portobello mushrooms making a burger out of that. Like it was like all real stuff that I was like, it looked like it was a real meal, which I enjoyed.
That's what I'm trying to do. Thanks, man. And that's really what I'm trying to do is like the whole point of the first episode. If you hear my monologue on the first episode, it's like start slow and learn as we go. I'm learning too. So I didn't do the show until months into the pandemic. And I really started during the pandemic. I really started, getting better. I started going, hey man, I can't eat lentils and broccoli every day. I gotta
get creative. It's survival.
Yeah. And, so I took a lot of those ideas that, I was, one of the mantras to myself during the lockdown was, be better, not bitter out of this, no matter how long this goes. And be ready and stay ready whenever everything opens up. You got to be ready and stay ready. Keep writing, keep thinking of muscles to work. And as I, into March and April, we were locked down. And now I was really in the kitchen all the time. Mm-hmm. I was like, not just eating plant-based and going and getting a few easy things to make, I was sitting here at home going, what could I do? Ooh, how could I MacGyver this?
You start getting it starts becoming fun. You're like, I like wings. How do I make a wing that's now plant-based? How do I make the burger that I used to like? How do I make all these foods and flavors? I love it. I want everyone to go follow Jason at Lawheads Court. Also at Eat With Me TV. Go. Watch the videos. They're great. I'm a fan. I want everyone to go check them out. Let's do some emails. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for the laughs and the great content. So I was seeing this guy for about 6 months back in 2019. He broke it off in December of that year. We've kept in touch and hooked up a couple of times since then, but haven't hung out. It's been strictly booty calls. Cut to now. All of the sudden, he wants to hang out, and we got brunch last weekend and didn't hook up because I had plans after, which he knew about and still wanted to come. I had tried to hook up with him a couple times before this, and he always shot me down, but said we can hang out that week. At brunch, he was talking about how all of his friends have girlfriends, and he's ready to move out of the city into Jersey. Does this seem like he's finally ready for a commitment, or am I reading too much into it? I said I wanted to be casual, and he said we can be casual if that's what I want, but I don't know if he only said that because it's what I stated. He's not really being communicative, but I don't want to jump the gun and talk about it yet. I absolutely date him again, but I'm scared to get burned. Any insight would be great. Jason Lawhead, what do you think?
Well, I think a lot of times if she's saying that it went from booty call to him wanting to like, let's do this now.
Yeah.
Type of like, I always kind of feel like from a guy that means like, this is my chance. She's out of town. Or she's not around.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
There could be a second girl, or there was a second girl, or there was before that. You know what I mean?
Because he went from booty call to this guy went from. So they were hooking up, they were dating, right. Then they broke up, then they turned into more of a booty call situation. Then all of a sudden he's not hooking up and he's inviting her to brunch, talking about moving to the suburbs. So she's sitting here being like, what am I missing here? Should I dive in? Should I let him know? Should I do something?
Right. I don't think she should dive in. I don't think she should dive in. I think she should see if she has real feelings for this guy. She should see if those feelings are truly reciprocated, because it almost looks like when she's not around and maybe she's not as available for him when he was. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. I was making it poorly. If there was maybe another girl or something as well. But the point is it almost looks like playing hard to get, or getting it harder to get for him is benefiting her, or at least her in his outlook. It's got him thinking at least in a different mind frame is what I'm taking from it, is that her being farther away is putting her in more of the controlled situation.
Well, I think you're definitely, I totally agree with you that he's thinking differently right now. The problem for her is you don't want to be someone's crutch they use through their mental anguish. Right now, we're your story with your wife is so applicable here, because it's like you saw it, you went for it. Yeah. You kept it going. You were like, no, we're going on dates. I'm deleting Tinder. I'm deleting the old hookups. This guy is going through some shit, and he's asking you to be kind of a emotional crutch for him, while also not taking any chances and asking you to take all the chances. Yeah, when you sit there, and that's not really fair. Like, he's asking you, to me, it's like the equivalent of him being like, I would like to try it, but I don't want to buy the meal. I want them to I want to try some off of your plate. Right. Like it's like
exactly
right, and it's like, dude, order your own fucking burger if you want. Well, I don't want to waste the meal, because he asked her to go on to brunch, and he shot her down to hook up. So it's like he is separating himself, and he's trying to get kind of your emotional support and trying to weigh, and then he's mentioning everyone's got girlfriends. Maybe I should move to the suburbs. And it's like he wants you to make his hard decisions easier on him. And it's like, you're a hard decision too. And he's making you come to him. I don't think, and listen, I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to play hard to get. I'm not one of those people that's like, don't send the text, let them text you first. I'm just saying, you went out with him. He knows how to approach you. And I think there's a moment, I think if I'm her, I say to him, hey, this is all kind of confusing me. You asked me to brunch. You won't hook up. We were hooking up before. We were dating before. I can't be in between with you anymore. If you want to date me, you can date me. But and you can approach me, and I'll see if I like your approach. That's how it has to be. Maybe I like your approach, but you have to take some efforts here because right now it feels like you're trying to get me to like spoon feed you life, and I can't be that for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you're really good at this. And I never answer any emails, and I never answer any dating emails.
This isn't. We're answering these together, Jason.
No, I know.
Lawhead.
I try. No, but what you said is absolutely like the more you really kind of, use the path of where you took that. It's true because I feel like the brunch, but then not the hookup. It's almost like maybe he's just almost pandemic lonely a little bit, and he's trying to help. You're like you said, he wants her to help him as some kind of guide through how to do this, or what should I do, or how do
And I agree with you because it's like there's nobody worse than the guy who's always, maybe I'll move to the suburbs. Well, why don't you fucking call me when you do? I don't care. I don't want to sit here. I don't need to sit here in your dreamland all day because people do that. They'll go, maybe I'll do. They find their way to be interesting by being like, maybe I will try some stand-up comedy. Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know. Do you want me to cheer for you?
We were thinking opening a bar. I love that guy that always like, we were thinking opening a bar. You're like, so just open it. Call me when there's the soft opening, and I'll be there.
Yeah, it's like, and especially for a lot of the women here that listen to the show, it's like, you don't want to be a part of his dream sequence. You want to hear some reality, and it's like, okay, cool. You're mentioning girlfriends. You're mentioning moving to the suburbs. I don't know, like, why you're here with me talking about that. Don't you have, like, family and friends that you could talk about? I'm your booty call. You said no. Like, he said no to becoming more with her. So now he's getting her at his convenience, and that just isn't fair.
She's got to cut that out right there. You're right. By the time we get to that ending of that, like, situation, he's just got her. Right now, if she's not the girlfriend or she's not the booty call, she's the advice column for him. And and so now he's using her in every all the things that a relationship needs that he's not providing, but he wants from her the things that a relationship gives, but without giving her the relationship.
Yeah, it's a one-way phone call. The J Train podcast is brought to you by Feels CBD. Ooh, it is the time of year for Feels CBD. It's wintertime, the sun isn't out, and there's a lot just more stress and anxiety that's in the air. I'm feeling it, you're feeling it. 2020 was hard, 2021 ain't getting much better. And you know what? If you want to take off the edge, I've been using Feels CBD, and I love it. I've added it to my morning routine. And it's just a little thing that takes the edge off. And I feel it. I wasn't a believer. I honestly was like, come on, just another thing. But I gotta say, it has become a part of my life in a way that I am enjoying, and it has helped me deal with the everyday stresses that have come up, especially in the last year or so. If you feel a little anxious or just can't fall asleep, you're not alone. We all feel that way, and that's why you should try Feels CBD. Feels is a premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. If you've never tried CBD before, let me demystify it for you. It will not get you high. It just makes you feel a little bit more relaxed and nothing more. I feel just more zoned in, if I'm going to be honest. There's no high, hangover, or addiction. Feels gets to work fast. Just put a few drops under your tongue and boom, you'll be feeling the difference within minutes. If you've never tried CBD and are a little nervous, Feels is a great place to start. I wasn't sure about how much to take, but Feels makes the dosage very clear. I recommend starting with the lowest dosage and working your way up until it feels right. And if you're not sure, they'll hold your hand. They have a hotline. This is the best part to me. They have a hotline with real humans. You can call anytime. Once you add CBD to your life, you're going to want to make it a regular part, so sign up with Feels so you get it delivered every month. You'll save money on every order. Feels helps me feel my best, and it can help you too. And special for my listeners, if you become a member today by going to feels.com/JTrain, you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/JTrain to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. One more time, feals.com/JTrain and feel better. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Upstart. You know that credit card, the one you're afraid to look at to see what the balance is? If you've been avoiding your debt, it's time to confront it. Upstart can help you face it and finally pay it off. I'm going to tell you right now, I love what Upstart's doing because what it is an opportunity to see if it can help you. Because it might not. You might not be in a position to be helped, but at least if you're dealing with debt, if you have multiple debts, if you have a few credit cards laying out there with a bunch of different debts on it, let's take a look at the rate you're paying. Let's try and combine those rates into one payment plan that you do with Upstart, and it's really just comparing. It's applying with Upstart, seeing if they have a better rate for you. If it's not better, you move on. If it's better, look at that. You found a $20 bill in your pocket. That's kind of what this is all about. Finding the money that's already on you to make your life a little bit easier. Upstart is the fast and easy way to get a personal loan to pay off your debt all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-risk, high-interest debts, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Upstart finds smarter rates with trusted partners because they assess more than just your credit score. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans from $1,000 to $50,000. You can get approved the same day and can receive funds as fast as one business day. If debt is taking over your life, it's time to get a fresh start with Upstart. I'm going to say that. Let me repeat that because I'm reading a little bit of the copy while I'm also putting in my, personal stuff here. I'm just saying Upstart finds smarter rates with trusted partners because they assess more than just your credit score. That's huge. That's huge. So if you can get a rate that's better than the one you're paying, that is what they call in the business free money. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/JTrain. That's upstart.com/JTrain. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/JTrain. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com, JTrain Podcast at gmail.com, here with Jason Lawhead.
I came back strong on that. I came back strong on that.
You were perfect. This is a convo. This is a ping pong match. At Eat With Me TV, go check it out. A hard pill to swallow.
Okay.
Jared, the J-Train, has become a staple of my daily routine. I'm so thankful for your hilarious, honest, and empowering insight for our modern-day dating struggles. Well, thank you. This isn't necessarily a question, but a lesson I've had to start to come to terms with, which is that I won't be everyone's cup of tea or the right fit in a relationship. Well, I let me start with, this already starts very personalized, where it's like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea or the right fit in a relationship. That's everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. Like you're already being too hard on yourself in this email. I haven't gotten to the end, but like when you say I'm not for everybody, let's just realize we're all kind of average and normal. Like all of us, most of us are very close to one another as far as like, our emotional state, where we are in life. Everyone's about 10% away from each other, mostly. So when you say I'm not everyone's cup of tea, we're all not somebody's cup of tea. Like someone turned on this podcast. Someone was a Jason Lawhead follower, and they were like, they heard my voice with hello and welcome. They were like, fuck no. So you ever done, Jason, you ever done a show where you get on stage and like you say like 3 words and then you just see someone pop up and leave?
That's
and you're
the
like,
greatest. You can just see, I love when you're like, hey, what's going on? And then you can just see their arms fold like this. They just,
no,
like,
not going to happen for me. And it's like, okay, so understand we all are that. They write, I was talking to a guy for almost 2 months and it had been going well. All his actions indicated that he wanted to continue spending time with me and such. He would initiate most of the text calls, plans. Then over the weekend, he left me on delivered for hours, which wasn't like him. So me being me and not like being ignored, I called him. I told him I wanted to check in to see where his head's at, and he said that he felt I was expecting a relationship and more dates, and he listed all the things he was going on right now. Work, Marine stuff, just started classes. So we decided it would be best to end it while it was still only a couple months in. Then he said he originally wanted a relationship and not just sex. I connected the dots after this call and realized that what he actually meant was, I want a relationship, just not with you. Even though in the back of my head I knew this wasn't the best match long term, I still wanted to see if it had potential, and after investing some time and energy, it felt like rejection, and I'm learning that I shouldn't take it personal, but it's easier said than done. I thought I'd share this anecdote in case other listeners are in the same boat as me or have experiences like this. I know this ending was for the best, but it will never be easy learning that you are not someone's perfect chair or foot, even when you know the person is not your perfect match either. So sorry for the long email. Thank you for all you do. Still searching. So what do you think in response to this? Like, I take a little exception where it's like the person writes in their email, even though in the back of my head I knew this wasn't the best long-term match, like, at that point, like, you knew, right?
Right. And that's my the angle I was going to take was your opening sentence and your last, basically what you just said, the opening and the closing really kind of match each other, because when you say, when you sit out there and you go, and I know we joked about it, but when you say, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, well, guess what? That's why. Because you got to just leave it alone. At that point, you just got to go leave it alone. And you got to understand what you know. You're admitting to what you know. You're admitting to you should have just walked away a long time ago. And you're not. And you got to, because you got to find out, right? And the whole little in between the lines, when you read in between the lines in that email, you hear the other thing you hear is he left me at delivered. Remember? We went from you had me at hello to I didn't even know that there was a term. You left me at delivered. He left me at delivered.
Yeah.
And then there was another line in there towards the end that said something to the effect that, there was another one that had me for a second where I was like, well, right here, you're kind of just letting everyone know that you're trying too hard. You're almost admitting it in the email.
Well, that's perfectly true, because it's like you look at a situation like this where they're kind of upset that something got away, and it's like, but I would have worked with it. Like,
right.
I think the example you brought up in the beginning where the guy in the front row who crosses his arms, and this happens at many comedy shows. Everyone in the room's laughing, and there's one person in the front, cross-armed, not giving you anything. It happened to me I was in Des Moines, and there was a guy in the crowd. I come out on stage, a lot of energy, a lot of fun. I'm calling people out. I'm making fun of Des Moines, and I look at this one guy. I made fun of him a little, like I said that he didn't wear, he just immediately was like, no, angry. And I'm like, dude, all you have to do is smile at this, and it ends perfectly well. Like I said, he wore his nicest Under Armour to go out tonight, and he's just like, he's like, not funny, not funny. It's like everyone else here is laughing and having a good time. Yeah, you wore a fucking shitty Under Armour sweatshirt to go out with your girlfriend who's dressed up. If you can't see that, you don't want to see it. So it's like, again, the parallels to dating are perfectly clear to me. Like, some people don't even want to see you as this. And I know they went and tried to get answers from them, and they're like, I was connecting the dots, and after this call, I realized that what he actually meant is I want a relationship, just not with you. Yeah, I mean, I've said that many times on this podcast where it's like they just didn't want a relationship with you, and that's okay. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. That doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Right.
I don't want to have, not every day is the day I want to have a Hostess cupcake. I don't want to eat them every single meal.
Right.
They're just not the match for me. And it's not because Hostess cupcakes suck. They're actually the most delicious thing in the entire world. Right?
Yeah, you love them most of the time.
Yeah. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast jtrainpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think that right. If I had to say anything else on the way out, I think that one, the last mailer, just needs to take a little bit more kind of just self-worth into. And there was another line. The line I remember is when she said, "I try not to take it personal, but it's hard. It's hard, easier said than done." Well, you know what? Like right there, that's like a look in the mirror moment. That is when you have to just go, yeah, you know what though? I'm not gonna let it make it easier said than done. Yeah, I'm really gonna not let it take it personal. And you know, you and I, we've been in this business, and that's one thing I had to learn for a while. After a while, like it stunted my growth in comedy was taking things personal. And until I had to just finally go, none of it's personal. I don't give it. It's all the path to whatever day of success my day comes, like whatever. So that day of success will be her day of meeting the right guy.
But she's also going to know for the next time. Like you're building like a little toolkit, like she even said I knew in the back of my head, okay, so now you know. Why even try and push this square peg through a round hole when you know that you have to figure out a way to like be like, it's gonna happen. I just don't know how.
Because she's not done taking things personal yet. She says it right there in the letter, and until she is, that's when she'll be able to just go, all right, she wouldn't even have to need to write that letter if she could let go of taking things personal.
jtrainpodcast@gmail.com, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com, Jason Lawhead @EatWithMeTV on Instagram. Go. Don't want to come off as too eager. Living in Connecticut with my family, moving back to New York sometime in the fall. I've been chatting with this guy who is finishing his MBA in Boston and moving to New York. He comes to New York often. When he asked me out, do I make a trip into the city to see him or ask if he comes to me? I don't want to come off as eager. I think the happy middle ground is go in and make plans with friends throughout the weekend and make time for an hour or so for drinks with him. So that way I'm not just going to see him. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's a lot of, I kind of think it's like a lot of overthinking if I had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a discombobulated email a little bit in the sense of like what she really wants.
And it's like,
you know what I mean? It's like a little,
it's interesting. You're right. It's discombobulated because it's not the same emotions because it doesn't match. She writes, I've been chatting with this guy who's finishing his MBA in Boston. Okay, you're chatting. She's taking it lightly. Then all of a sudden, when he asks me to make a trip to the city, do I ask if he comes to see me? I don't want to come off as eager. It's like, what happened to I thought you guys were just chatting.
Right,
you
this
haven't
isn't
even met
overthinking.
yet. Yeah, I think like, and the idea that like, I think it's like way too much to make the plans with. I think like own the fact that you want a date. Don't be afraid of going. Like I would say to him, also he hasn't even made this hypothetical date yet. So he might not make a good enough date to make you excited to go see him.
Exactly.
Like what if he
maybe almost like leave it in an open air kind of thing. Like, hey, I'm up in so-and-so Connecticut and is nearby. Ha ha ha. Like, what would you do? Would you come up here?
I'm not saying, I don't mean to make assumptions, but like there's so many people who are like, I don't want to waste my time. I want to go out with this person. I want to date. It's like she's dancing around the thing that she wants. She wants to meet this guy. That's okay.
She wants to see who's behind that MBA from Boston University.
and the idea that she's going to tiptoe around the thing if I'm her, I'm not even making decisions yet. All you know is you're chatting with a guy who's moving to New York and you are too. He has all that information. He has your number. What's he going to do with that? Is he going to make the date? Is he going to say to you, like if he did the date that she's proposing, which is I'll go make plans with friends and then I'll make an hour for him. What if he said that to you? Would that feel exciting for you? Like if a guy was like, hey, yeah, I definitely want to get together, but like I don't want this like being too much. So why don't you go like make a day with your friends and then we'll carve out an hour for us to get together. You'd be like, what the fuck? You don't want to like make a plan? Like you wouldn't want that to be how someone treated you. So why would you put yourself out there as far as so you don't look eager? It's like, no, be fucking eager.
Yeah. And in this day and age, maybe I would be looking at something like from this guy, right? Like if I really thought like this guy is going to be interesting and he's going to be somebody that seems to be interested in what we're already talking, about, like maybe something even like hey, I have to be in New York for something about my move or my next job or my next schooling or whatever he's going there exactly for, whatever it is. Or maybe even just a nice day to say, hey, why don't I buy you a train ticket into the city? We'll meet at a public place somewhere at one of the train stations at Penn or Union or something. We'll grab a coffee and we'll walk through Union Station. Even though it's cold and wintry, I know this great little place that you can go, or whatever it is. Or maybe wait till the weather breaks a little bit more and say, hey, since it's getting warmer, how about, before we move to New York, we meet each other in New York and have a day walking the parks in New York and grab a coffee. And I'd be looking at some type of gesture like that if I was her, from a guy that might be actually serious when we all are in New York, that this could go somewhere.
But so Jason Lawhead, considering the story you told about you and your wife in the beginning, when she DM'd you or messaged you and looked you up and was like, we should do a date, how you made a date. You came to San Diego, didn't you?
Right. But I let her, like, I played off of the ball she put in her court, because her approach before she really got to know me, even though she did a background check and I wasn't a criminal or anything, was her approach was, when's the next time you're performing here? Because she remembered on stage, I said, hey, I love San Diego. I come down here a lot to perform. I always do. She said, you mentioned that you come here a lot to perform. When are you again? And I said, I'm actually looking to book a date in the next couple of weeks because I have to work on this thing. So I kind of just followed her lead into that whole, hey, and then I reached back to her and said, hey, great news. I'm working all 3 nights at La Jolla this weekend. Maybe Friday come out. And that's when she came out to the show. So, and then the next approaches were just natural things that I thought, man, if I ask her to do this, she's going to like to do this. I brought her to LA for the first time. I took her to see Kobe Bryant, right? Like she's not a huge sports fan. That's the one great thing between us, is like, she doesn't want to watch sport. I get to watch sports, but then she plays piano and she's a chef, and those are, the arts and those things attract me to her. So
could there ever be a thing she would have proposed that would have been considered too eager, is my question.
From me, you mean? Or from her?
From her.
From her? Yes, like meeting parents or going back to, yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what's so ridiculous here. You're exactly right, because it's like, this woman is like, we've been chatting and he seems nice. Okay, he should take you on a date and make a plan for the New York City thing. He's not asking you to meet his parents. You're not asking him to come to your house and knock on the door and be like, hey, Papa, can I take your daughter? I brought you a cow. He's not asking for that.
Right, so, exactly. So she's like, it's an overthinking. In the beginning, it's an overthinking, and maybe the pandemic, maybe being boarded up, maybe not having as much social interaction as we're used to with even just regular girlfriends and your guy friends or whatever. Like, all of those things could be components into people's heads sometimes right now. But I'm sure you get a lot of these kind of attitudes even before the pandemic. So I just think it's overthinking, and maybe like sometimes you like somebody too much over messaging because it's
that happens all the time.
You haven't had your dreams shattered, right? So, it's like not meeting your hero. I love Reggie Jackson, my favorite player of all time. I love Reggie Jackson, but I've been told don't meet the guy. You know what I mean? So,
you're going to be disappointed. He's not going to get. And listen, it's okay to dream, but it's also okay to own what will make you feel good about that dream. Like again, you meet your favorite athlete, like, hey, I'd love your autograph. Get the fuck out of here. You go, okay, I think of you differently now. It didn't seem like that big of a deal. Just in the same way. But I think she has to be open to this guy not being the guy. I think that's what happens when you text with someone over a dating app or for a long period of time, you get caught up of like, what could this be? So you kind of get to the point where you're like, nothing they could do would be wrong. When it's like, no, you're chatting. Let's see how he makes the date. And it's like the idea that you're asking for too much because you're like, hey, I just want to plan to meet you in the city. That's ridiculous.
Right. And the other thing is like you get the best of someone when you've only texted them. Right?
Yeah, they're writing their own
You
script.
only get the best of that person because you haven't had any conflicts. And then when you have a life together and you have conflicts, then the nasty texts start coming in. But like you only get the best of somebody in that kind of text. And the other bit of advice I would give, I'm loving this, by the way. I should do an advice call. But anyway, the other thing I think is what I think she's part of the overthinking, overplaying it is like, hey, you're moving to a city with 6-8 million people. Don't bank on just a text conversation with a guy from Boston that's moving there too. So make sure your head knows where you're going. You're going to New York. And even if you like this guy, the first day in New York, you might be in line behind a guy in Starbucks that says hello and just makes you go, wow.
That's even more of a reason to ask for the thing you want. Because if he won't make a date with you after chatting on a dating app and chatting on texting, and the next time he goes to New York, then he's not really going to try with you when there's 8 million options. So it's not going to get better from here. So
and he's got 8 million more options too. Yeah,
both of them. Yeah. So it's like, listen, and so that it goes both ways. You can find 8 million more people when you get to the city, and he's got to make a little bit of an attempt to make you feel good about this. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Truff. Ooh, I love Truff. I love putting Truff on my eggs. I'm trying to eat healthier, so this is like the treat that I get to add into some of the healthier things I'm eating. I like it with eggs. I like it on my chicken. I like that they have a travel size, so I'm never without something delicious or adding. And this is the thing. When you're eating healthy, maybe the food's a little bland, or maybe the food, you're asking for, I'll have the plain chicken with a little bit of vegetables on the side, and then you say, can I have some hot sauce? And they go, we have this boring one. No. When you have the travel side Truff, you're good to go. You're elevated into a fancy oasis of pleasure. Truff is the first luxury hot sauce, a unique blend of black truffles and spice. 3 varieties. Truff is the flagship hot sauce, the flavor-packed black truffle hot sauce that started all. I love it. I got to tell you, it is. And sometimes when you hear hot sauce, you're like, oh, too hot, too spicy. No. This is the perfect blend. Truff Hotter Sauce. It's Truff's Hotter Hot Sauce, a jalapeno forward blend for those who can never get enough heat. If you're a spice person, this is for you. And Premium White Truff Hot Sauce, embodying the essence of the luxurious and fragrant white truffle. It's been named one of Oprah's favorite things for 2 years in a row. And listen, I'm telling you right now, this is a fantastic gift. Just what a great thing for a friend out of nowhere. This is the time of year that no one expects a gift, so a gift becomes even more important. And Truff comes beautifully packaged. Just for my listeners, they're giving you an even better offer. They've upped the offer. Get 15% off site-wide plus free shipping with promo code JTRAIN at truff.com. That's 15% off plus free shipping on everything. Just shop at truff.com. That's TRUFF, F as in fantastic. TRUFF.com. Use promo code JTRAIN. 15% off plus free shipping on everything. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. Jason Lawhead at Eat With Me TV. Go watch. I love these videos. Jason's so funny at Lawhead's Court. We're still here. You ready? We're going to do this last email.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. All right.
It's called To Cash or Not to Cash. It's a lifestyle question. We love these. Jared, love the pod. We have a dilemma that we need your help on. We came home today to what we thought was a holiday card from my wife's friend from out of state. We opened it up and a check falls out and we find a card. The card says that her and her husband of a little over a year, July 2019, have divorced. The card proceeds to say that they are refunding the cost of our gift out of respect. Wrapped around the check, it says, please cash within 30 days. Do we cash the check as she requests or shred the check? Now, I'm going to read the this is. Have you ever heard?
Wait a minute. Wait. I'm trying to figure out what happened here now.
So their friends got divorced, or
Right.
they broke off their marriage. It happened a little over a year before. So they sent them a check of how much their gift costs, and it says to cash it within 30 days. I've never heard of such a thing. This is like one of those things. And let me read the note because we have it here. It saddens Blank and I to share with our families and friends that we will no longer be going forward in life together. You were generous in celebrating us, and out of respect, we feel in our hearts that it is necessary to return the gift you've given us. We are also genuinely thankful for your support during our military deployment. Unfortunately, the impact of our deployment experiences has led us to a realization that we need to take separate journeys, and I have deep respect and admiration for each other, and that will never waver. Thank you in advance for respecting our privacy at this difficult time. So this is quite an amazing thing.
So they're returning,
they're returning the gift, basically.
I think it's great.
What an admirable thing.
I think it's great. I think it has a lot of integrity because, I wouldn't do it if she left me tomorrow and we'd only been married a year and a half.
Yeah, you're just recently married. Are you giving are you looking even to take the tally of the kitchen appliances that cost a certain amount the amount of money to be able to give that back? It's an amazing thing they're doing.
It really is. I can't believe, I said, I'm still mad at some people for not giving me as much as they did. I'm like, that son of a bitch. I can't believe. I know he came alone, but still only, So yeah, I mean, I think it's admirable, and the fact is not only would you, it'd be admirable enough if you just wrote a personal letter to everyone you invited, just saying, look, these things happened. We have these separate journeys, our military deployment, without getting in. I'm so glad you came to our wedding. I hope to make it up, whatever. Even if you didn't write the check back. So, I mean, I think this is on them at the end of the day. This is on them to either go, hey, write them back. And if you're going to shred the check up, write them back and tell them why. Say, look,
hey,
we really appreciate what you said, but we've torn up the check just so you know, so when you balance your checkbook, that 100 or 200 or whatever it was won't be deducted. So we appreciate it, but we still believed in you when you went down the aisle or something. If that's how they feel, if they don't want to, hey, look, if somebody, and if I'm on the other side of it, if I'm the guy that I would be like, hey, thank God Jared sent that bimbo. I mean, I knew that bimbo was whatever, you know what I mean? Or whatever, thank God,
I agree with you. I think this is one of those things where it's listen, I don't think anyone expects, maybe people make the joke, but nobody's sitting there after a wedding going, well, when's the gift coming back my way? Nobody's thinking that way. Everyone, if anything, everyone's just trying to back away from you slowly and not say the wrong things.
You're just deleting the pictures off of Facebook so you tag them in their wedding from a year and a half. You're going through where's that picture of us by the fountain, the chocolate fountain? Get rid of that one.
I mean, if anything, because they're service people, just be like, hey, this is me given to the troops. I don't know, how you, because
or just say, you know what, we cashed it, and then I just want and take a picture and maybe send it back and go, and then we donated it to wounded warriors or something like that.
That's a great idea too. I think that's the only reason to cash it. But they did ask you to cash it, so if someone did cash it, I wouldn't fault them for it. But I also see this as a great opportunity to make your friends maybe feel a little bit better for taking this type of initiative to do such a thing that nobody would ever do. This doesn't happen a lot. What they're doing is amazing and really thoughtful. Yeah,
at the end of the day, that's what they should do. You take a screen cap of either a check to a food bank or Wounded Warriors or something like that, and everybody kind of wins in a losing situation.
Absolutely. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com, JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Jason Lawhead, thank you for coming on. This was fantastic.
Oh, man, this was fun. It was good to see you again, too, catching up, man.
Always
wasn't long enough. We didn't have enough long time in Cleveland, so hopefully we'll get to do it again soon.
I hope so too. At Lawheads Court, go follow at Eat With Me TV. I'm Jared Freid. We're here every Monday and Thursday. We'll be back next episode. Boom. Don't forget to like the video you just watched. I have many more. Subscribe to the channel right now. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, you fool. There's even a bell you can click to. Now you've got your week set Monday through Friday. I'm here for you.